I've lived in my apartment for the last 6 years, and over that time frame I've had a handful of neighbors who have moved in above me. There's been a share of quiet ones as well as rambunctious ones, and as of recently a new family has moved in upstairs. And I can say without a doubt, hands down, within the 6 years I've taken up residency here, they are the worst neighbors I've ever had. They're the first family to make me thoroughly regret keeping a ground floor unit. Even worse, I can't stand their dog. I swear it's like clockwork. Once a month he gets a hair up his ass and then he goes on a howling rampage. Now, I'm already not a dog person, but this dog makes me really dislike the entire species. The damn beast is driving me insane, and I'm already pretty close to the end of my rope here. I've already been to the tenant's office 3 different times and complained, and yet still no results. So tonight, I'm gonna take things in my own hands. I'm gonna wait till the howling starts, then I'm heading upstairs to pound on his door and give him a piece of my mind. And in case things don't go my way, I'm gonna bring my trusty shotgun. I had laid on my couch to pass the time. It didn't take too long for me to nod off. I was abruptly awoken to a loud slam echoing from the direction above me. "Wilkinson," I muttered under my breath. In case you're wondering, that's the family's last name. Groggy and blurry-eyed, I glanced over at my wristwatch to see it said 9 p.m. Yep, right on schedule. I stood up and poured 2 shots of Jack Daniels. After dousing my throat in liquid courage, I grabbed my shotgun. I did a last-minute check to make sure both barrels were loaded. And with a deep breath, I stomped up the steps of the apartment complex. I stood in front of the apartment door. I set my shotgun on the ground next to the door frame. You could hear some kind of noise coming from the apartment. It sounded like movement, as well as the multiple howls. What in the hell is going on in there? I thought to myself. Didn't matter, I was going to solve this problem myself, right here, right now. I rolled up my sweater sleeve, I balled my shaking hand into a fist, and I started to repeatedly rap on the door. A few moments went by. No answer. I decided I'd try one more time, just a little harder. I put enough force to the door where it slowly swung open with a creak. The door was only open a sliver, but I could tell there was no light coming from within. I could have sworn I saw the Wilkinsons' car parked out front before I came up these steps. I decided to be safe. I walked back downstairs to double check. Yeah, no, their car's definitely here. I guess it is possible they went out with company and took like an Uber or something. Either way, I had to find out what was making that god-awful noise. So I hoofed it back up the step. I grabbed my shotgun and I slowly pushed the door open with the barrel. Another long, eerie creak played out as it opened. Creepy, I muttered out loud. Now that the door was open, I announced myself. "Wilkinson, it's your neighbor Tom. If you're here, let me know." No response. Even the howling had gotten quiet. Once more, I called out into the darkness. "Wilkinson, if you're home, please let me know. I'm coming in and I'm armed." I pulled out my cell phone and turned on my flashlight. I used it to help me locate the first set of light switches that each apartment has as you enter to the right. And after giving it a flip, nothing. No power? That question soon answered itself after I took a few more steps forward and heard a crunch of glass underneath my feet. Something here didn't feel right. My gut was telling me to leave. I entered the room slowly, scanning every inch of it with my flashlight. I slowly crept from the entry hall to the living room. And there it was. Hunched over in the corner, sitting on top of something, was this gigantic animal. I mean, this thing was a freaking beast. It was huge. Luckily, its back was turned to me. It seemed to be more preoccupied filling its face with whatever it was sitting on top of. This wet, nasty chewing sound could be heard throughout the entire apartment. Without even thinking, I shined my light right on the creature. That was a big mistake. What I thought was a dog, I saw stand up on its 2 hind legs. My mind couldn't even grasp what I was seeing at that very moment. It was a werewolf? How? These things aren't supposed to even exist. I was locked in a gaze with its glowing yellow eyes. It felt like an eternity had gone by as we stared at each other. I finally let out a shallow breath and took a gasp of air. And in the very next second, the creature let out an ear-crippling roar. Without even thinking, I pulled the trigger on my shotgun. The creature went down, slumped against the wall. To be safe, I fired my other shot. After unloading 2 buckshots into its chest, something strange started to happen. All of the werewolf's fur started to fall out. I'm talking like at once. All the fur just literally fell off this thing's body. What shocked me as almost as much as seeing this creature was who the creature was. My own neighbor, Alan Wilkinson, was a werewolf. How the hell was I going to explain this to anybody, let alone the police? That I killed my neighbor because he was a werewolf? I can hear the tacky headlines now. I live underneath the werewolf upstairs. Yeah, you can see it on the National Enquirer, front page news. I took a moment and shined my light on the creature's meal. Majority of the skin around their face and head had been eaten, exposing a very bloodied skull. I recognized the suit jacket and the button on it. It said manager. This was the landlord for the tenant office. I felt bad. He was here because of me, because I kept complaining. The sound of crunching glass echoed from behind me. I quickly spun about face. A pair of yellow glowing eyes pierced deeply into my soul. I abruptly panicked and raised my shotgun. I closed my eyes and squeezed the trigger. You've got to be kidding me. The chamber's empty. I used both shells on the first werewolf. What followed was a deafening roar, followed by this creature pouncing on top of me. I felt the sharp sensation of claws piercing my chest as I hit the ground hard. I had this copper taste in my mouth. I felt myself losing consciousness as it began to bite me. I really can't believe this is how I'm going out. I thought to myself as I slipped away, my only regret was not bringing more slug rounds. I let out a yell as its fangs carved my flesh.